Hi, it's me, Autoimmune Warriors here, and today I am back at you with another video, and we're going to do a top 10, excuse me. Today we are going to be talking about top 10 things you should say to somebody with a disability or a chronic health illness. So if that's something you're interested in, please like, subscribe, and follow me. I just want to take a minute and explain some of the diseases that I have been diagnosed with. So I have been diagnosed with mixed connective tissue disease, Hashimoto's, Raynaud's, Sjögren's, vasovagal syncope, POTS syndrome, chronic fatigue. I have pain every day, so like chronic pain, fibromyalgia, and I think that's all the major ones. I would also like to say, if you hear beeping in the background, I live next to a lumber yard and they're like cleaning out their snow. So you're gonna hear like the backup beeping throughout. There's nothing I can do about that, so sorry. So as a person who has chronic health issues and is disabled, there are some things that you shouldn't say to people, and I did a video about that. This is gonna be 10 things you should say to somebody. And I have some people in my life that are amazing that have said these things to me, but I wish more people knew what is appropriate to say to somebody who is suffering from a chronic health issue. Here we go. Number 1, I Googled your symptoms. There is nothing more validating and like loving and supportive than hearing someone say to you, hey, I looked up what's wrong with you. It shows that you care. It shows that they are a human being that matters. It makes them feel incredibly validated. So that is definitely something you should do and you should say to someone who has a chronic health issue. I Googled your symptoms. Number 2, yes, we're accessible. I cannot say enough how inaccessible places are these days. I live in a small town, and a few years ago, I was in a wheelchair. And even just most recently, I had to use my cane pretty much all the time. So many places are inaccessible to things like wheelchairs or people that can't go uphill or things like that. People need to be more accessible. Yes, we're accessible. Yes, our house is accessible. Yes, our business is accessible. It's like we have money just like anybody else that we should be able to spend and not have to worry, is our wheelchair going to get stuck? And how embarrassing that feels when you're blocking an entrance with your wheelchair because it wasn't accessible and you're trying to get in because you really want that coffee. Now, some of you may not have that problem, but that was definitely a problem I had where I lived. Number 3, I support your treatment choices. We are allowed our personal autonomy for our body. We are allowed to decide how we treat ourselves. Some people, they go Western medicine. They get all the pills, all the medications, they see all the doctors. And some people take a more holistic way. They do the cupping and the acupuncture and they do the special diets. They're both right. They're both okay. You know, I accept your way to treat yourself and you should accept mine. That is an incredibly validating thing to say to somebody who struggles with sometimes like their identities. Number 4, if I overstep my boundaries, please let me know. That is okay to say to somebody. If somebody's suffering from an illness that you know nothing about or very little, or just what you've heard in like, mainstream media, you should definitely say, hey, if I do something wrong, please let me know. That is okay. And it's not only respectful, but it is a loving, caring thing to do to somebody. Hey, I don't know much about your disease. I haven't Googled it yet, but if I overstep my bounds, please let me know so that I don't offend or hurt you in some way. Because sometimes things that people do can be hurtful, both physically and emotionally. Number 5, I don't take it personally. Now that may seem like a really simple statement to say. Oh, I don't take it personally, it's all right. But to somebody who's disabled or chronically ill, That means so much to us because we are constantly canceling plans, switching things, leaving early, and it makes us feel bad. It makes us feel like bad friends, bad moms, bad parents, bad spouses, bad whatever. And for someone to say, like, I don't take it personally, is such a kind, affirming thing to say to somebody who really struggles with that internally. Number 6, you are valuable. I'm not going to speak for the whole of chronic illness, but for me personally, sometimes I struggle with value issues. I sometimes feel like I'm not a good enough mom. I'm not a good enough wife. I'm not a good enough housekeeper, cook, friend, sister, daughter, all these things. I feel like I am not good enough at these things, and it devalues me as a person. You know, when I have no spoons and it's noon and I know for the rest of the day there's hardly anything I'm going to be able to accomplish, it makes me feel less valuable than my wife, who works a 12-hour shift, comes home, makes dinner, cleans up, goes and runs errands, does 50 million things, and then still takes care of me. I compare my value to what she's putting out, and so I feel devalued all the time. So for someone to say, hey, you are valuable, I value what you do, that is an amazing thing for people to hear. And I think that's just for anybody, not just people with chronic illness, but definitely people who suffer from disabilities and illnesses. Number 7, what accommodations do you need? Now that can mean a lot of things, but for me, it would have meant a lot, and it has meant a lot when people have asked me this. What accommodations do you need for your illness? I have something called vasovagal syncope, where sometimes I pass out. And so I tell my friends, hey, if I pass out, don't call 911. I'm not dying. It's okay. You know, maybe lift my legs up into the air to kind of get the blood flow back into my body. You know, maybe make sure if I'm not feeling well, I'm not by anything that's going to, like, you know, hurt my brain if I were to hit it. Accommodations could be, you know, hey, maybe somebody could help me walk from my car to the house because I'm using a cane and I'm tired today. Or, you know, maybe somebody could help me get in the house because I'm in a wheelchair and I need that accommodations. I have an amazing group of friends that when I was in a wheelchair, those guys not only helped me to and from houses, but they would lug my wheelchair in their vehicles, help me to and from the houses so that we could play our Dungeons and Dragons game. So shout out to you guys. You guys are the best. Number 8, I am here for you. Again, another simple statement to say to somebody, but mean it. I am here for you. I don't understand what you're going through. I don't suffer this, but I'm still here. I will be by your side. I will look up those symptoms. I will carry you to and from houses. I will get you your bubbly because you quit drinking pop. I will do what you need. I am here for you. And that is another just very affirming statement to hear from the people in your lives, so you don't feel like a burden. A lot of times, people with chronic health issues feel like burdens on their friends and families. And honestly, sometimes we are, but that doesn't mean that they don't love us. They're still here for us. And that is an amazing thing to hear. Number 9. And I should have made this one number 1, but it's I believe you. We are so often in the chronic health, I don't want to say field, but like vein of life, told that our diseases are not real, that they are in our heads, and that we are making them up. None of that is true. These are very real things that we deal with on a daily basis, sometimes hourly. And for someone to look us in the eyes and say, I believe you, there's nothing more affirming than that. That means so much to us. It takes so much pressure and burden off of our souls that we don't feel like we constantly have to prove that we're sick. Something that I love to do for self-care is I love to do my hair and makeup. It's one of my favorite things to do. Some days I don't have the energy for that. Some days I do. And when I do, I like to go all out. But I don't do that as often because I sometimes feel like if I look too pretty, people will think I'm better. And it's like, it doesn't work that way. You know, so when people say to you, I believe you, it takes the pressure off of you so you can take care of yourself in whatever way you need without having to constantly prove yourself. Number 10, how can I help you? And this is a little bit different than like what accommodations do you need? Accommodations, I'm more thinking physically. How can I help you? I think is more like mentally, or in my experience, it's like, can I make you dinner? Can I take your kids on a play date? Right now, that's not happening because of the pandemic, but it's that type of thing. And that is so amazing because, like I said, my wife works 12 hours. And when she comes home, a lot of the time she has to make dinner, or she has to clean up dinner, or it could be a lot of things. So for somebody to say, how can I help you? And really reach out to me and mean that. And one of those things is dinner. That is not only a blessing to me, but it is a blessing to my loved ones. And that is just, sometimes it's just all that we need to get through the day. I can't tell you how many times I have been, just ready to break down in tears because I just feel like I have no value, that I'm a burden on my family, that I'm unlovable, that I'm just this horrible person for some reason because of these illnesses that I didn't ask for. And somebody calls me and says, how can I help you? And it's like they just reach into this void and just yank me out of this hole that I built for myself. And they're like, I love you. I see you. How can I help you? That is such a gift to give someone, anybody, but especially somebody with chronic health issues. So those are my top 10, not in any specific order, but those are my top 10. If you have any that you think that help you or that should be spoken to people with chronic health issues, leave them in the comments below, and I will see you next week. Bye.